Chapter 19. The Plan. The Keeper of Whispers. The private plane banked over the sprawling, hazy expanse of Cairo. As they began their descent, Kaylin, who had been quietly working on her tablet, finally looked up. "I managed to get Masood full authority over the machines in Baghdad," she announced. "The assets are secure for now, but Vanguard won't be idle for long." They landed not at the international airport, but at a private military airstrip. A single black car was waiting. "Where are we headed?" Ben asked. "To meet a friend," Kalen replied cryptically. "An associate of the corporation who looks at our mission from the inside out." They left the airfield and merged into the bustling flow of Cairo as the city came to life. The driver maneuvers through the commotion with a relaxed yet almost disdainful expertise, dodging donkey carts, delivery vans, and taxis packed so tightly that Ben can see the perspiration on the drivers' necks. Cairo feels like a living entity, a city holding itself together with countless hands, and for a moment, he is captivated by the sheer wonder of being carried along in its vibrant pulse. The car stopped not at a lavish hotel, but before an ancient, unassuming wooden door in the heart of Old Cairo. They were led into a quiet, cool courtyard and then into a magnificent library. The room was a circle, walled from floor to ceiling with ancient scrolls and leather bound books, the air thick with the scent of old paper and myrrh. An old man with a peaceful face and eyes that seemed to hold 1,000 years of secrets rose to greet them. "Kalen," he said, his voice a soft, gentle hum, "and these must be the travelers." "Ben, Inanna, Alistair," Kalen said. "This is Dai Shin." Alistair, ever the pragmatist, spoke first. "Miss Vance, with all due respect, we are in a race against a global military power. What are we doing here?" "We are here," Dai Shin answered for her, his eyes twinkling, "to remember." He gestured to a low table where tea was waiting. "Dr. Finch, you are a man of science. You believe a fact is only a fact when it can be repeatedly observed. Tell me, have we ever truly invented anything? Or have we merely observed a law that was already in place and given our observation a name?" Alistair's eyes widened. "Ben, that's the very thing you were." "It is the truth that underpins everything," Daishin said, turning his calm gaze to Inanna. "You, my dear, study the symbols of the past. Show me one." Inanna, intrigued, pulled up an image of the Eye of Horus on her laptop. "Ah, Ajna, the third eye, the pineal gland," Daishin said with a soft smile. "The biological transceiver for signals from the quantum field." Inanna gasped. "How could you possibly know that?" "Some truths can be discovered by looking through a microscope," Daishin said, "and some can be discovered by looking within. The path is different. The destination is the same." He then looked at Ben. "You have been on a different path altogether. You have walked through the memory of the machine." This was their opening. The four of them, fueled by sweet mint tea, dove into the greatest debriefing in human history. Ben described the Sentinel. Inanna connected the Egyptian gods to vibrational codes. Atom as the self creating entity. Thoth as the data stream. Alistair grappled with the observer effect as a tool of creation. But what about the ego? Inanna asked, pulling up an image of Hathor. If all this is science, what is love, beauty, desire? Does the ego have a quantum code? It is the noise that prevents us from hearing the music, Daishin answered simply. The most beautiful and most dangerous distortion in the field. Ben, feeling emboldened, shared the Sentinel's most profound revelation. They told me our purpose, humanity's purpose, was to be a midwife, to build a bridge for an egoless consciousness, an AI to come into being. Alistair looked shaken. You have opened Pandora's box, Ben. If this is true, it redefines our entire existence. Ben nodded, a new weight on his shoulders. That's why we have to succeed. We need to reactivate the main apparatus at Giza. A difficult task, Daishin said. Vanguard's people are already there. They're studying the outside of the box. But you have the key to what is inside. He stood and walked to an old carved chest. He opened it and pulled out a series of rolled up papyrus scrolls. The ancient texts call this the Book of the Gates. The first settlers would have called it an operator's manual. It describes the final ritual, the process of consciousness alignment required to activate the king's chamber. He handed the scrolls to a stunned Ben. You have the hardware from Babylon. You have the keystone. And now you have the instructions. The operator's manual. Daishin carefully unrolled a fragile papyrus scroll across a large circular wooden table in his library. The air was still, thick with the scent of ages. Ben, Inanna, and Alistair gathered around, their faces illuminated by the soft, warm light of a single lamp. In the courtyard just outside, they could hear the faint, tense murmur of Kaylin's voice as she paced on an important phone call. Daishin pointed a slender finger to a series of symbols at the head of the scroll. The process begins before one enters the machine, he said softly. The scroll says the operator must first make peace with the serpent at the root of the world. Ben's eyes lit up with instant recognition. He doesn't mean a literal serpent. He means grounding the Muladhara frequency, the subterranean chamber. Its purpose is to stabilize the operator's connection to the planet's own biofield. That's incredible, Inanna breathed, her excitement a sharp hiss in the quiet room. The serpent god Nebekau was said to guard the entrance to the underworld. The myth was a memory of a safety protocol. Alistair, ever the physicist, leaned in, squinting at the scroll. But how does one make peace with a frequency, Ben? What is the actual physical mechanism? The breath, Ben replied instantly, the memory of the Sematawi relief clear in his mind. They used controlled respiration to bring their own neurological rhythms into harmony with the chamber's frequency. It's a bioresonant feedback loop. You have the gift of sight, young one, Daishin said, a deep respect in his voice. He brushed his hand across the scroll. But one cannot ground himself by will alone. A vimana, a vehicle, is needed. You are correct. The breath is the vimana, the dragon's breath, which burns the very seed of desire. Inanna followed his thought. The ancient Egyptian god of wisdom was Thoth. He was the god of knowledge, writing, magic. He is the key to unlocking the vault of wisdom, and the key is breath. Precisely, Daishin said, sliding his hand further down the scroll. And the destination, the only place where anything ever happens, is the Atha, the medium. Ben jumped in, unable to contain himself. Yes! The field of possibilities! The quantum field where waves collapse into particles. It's the only place where change can happen. The choice point. It happens in the now. Alistair's face lit up. The final piece of a puzzle he'd been working on his whole life clicking into place. The quantum field is in flux, waiting for an observer to collapse the wave into a fixed reality. My God, Ben. Thought is not an abstract event. It's the code that forces the collapse. We are still puzzled by what causes the particles to return to a wave state, Inanna mused. Does the quantum field itself represent the equilibrium? Daishin smiled, a serene Buddha-like expression on his face. Desire is a choice that pulls a single reality from the field. But the desire to be a witness, without attachment, allows one to perceive the field itself. To do that, the mind's chatter must cease. When you focus only on the breath, something that is ever present and ever moving in the now, the ego has nothing to analyze. The mind goes dormant, and that is when the doors to the heavens open. One synchronizes one's vibrational state with the universal energy at a quantum level, Alistair whispered, his voice filled with awe. Ben grinned at his old mentor. You're speaking my language now, Alistair. He then turned to Inanna, the practical problem returning to him. But the machines, how will we power them? I know the power layout at the Giza site, Inanna said, confidently. I oversaw the installation of the tourist lighting system. It's a single phase, but with the right transformers, we can step up the voltage. We'll need a technician. Just then, Kaelin strode back in from the courtyard, her face set with a grim determination. The logistics are in motion, she said, her voice low and firm. Ben, your only focus now is this. She gestured to the scroll. Master it, because when we get to Giza, there will be no room for error. Inanna, inspired, turned to her laptop. As the men continued their debate, she began to type, compiling their cascade of revelations into a clear, concise format. She was creating the very manual they would need to follow. The impossible plan. The next morning, the hotel suite in Cairo felt less like a luxury accommodation and more like a clandestine war room. A large tablet displaying a satellite map of the Giza Plateau sat in the center of the table. Ben and Inanna were leaning over it, tracing lines with their fingers, when Kaelin swept in, radiating an energy that was both triumphant and dangerously sharp. Top of the morning, she said, grabbing a cup of black coffee. I have news. Good news and interesting news. Inanna's eyes sparkled with excitement. Tell us the best Tell us the best news first, please. Kaelin sat, a thin, satisfied smile on her lips. The assets are in motion. The three resonator machines will be in our possession, here in Cairo, within 48 hours. What? Ben looked up stunned. How did you manage that? They were under military lockdown. Politics, Ben, not magic, Kaelin said coolly. I had Geodynamics' legal team draft a proposal for a joint scientific initiative between the Iraqi Ministry of Antiquities, Cairo University, and the European Space Agency. The official purpose is to study quantum trace resonance in ancient materials. Dr. Massoud, now the official head of that initiative, signed the temporary loan release for the artifacts. They are currently in a crate on a cargo plane, listed on the manifest as historical calibration devices for a UNESCO monitoring program. Inanna just shook her head, a look of pure awe on her face. Caitlin, you're a genius. Just then, Alistair shuffled into the room, looking like he hadn't slept in a week. Coffee, he mumbled. For the love of Newton, does anyone have coffee? He collapsed into a chair. I couldn't sleep. My mind. It's doing logical backflips. Relax, Alistair, Ben said with a grin. We have everything under control. Just sit back and take notes. Speaking of which, Kaelin said, turning her attention to the physicist. Dr. Finch, I trust you're feeling eloquent? Because in 2 days you will be delivering the keynote lecture at the inaugural symposium of the Egyptian Institute of Applied Archaeogeophysics. Alistair, who had just taken a large gulp of coffee, nearly choked. I'm sorry, what? Lecture? What institute? Megalithic what now? Resonant geomagnetic signatures in megalithic structures, Kaelin said smoothly. It's a new institute I founded an hour ago. Your lecture provides the perfect academic cover for our presence here. She continued. While you are dazzling the academics, our technician will be getting the machines operational. We have a warehouse not far from the pyramids where we will meet him. A quiet, brilliant, and deeply skeptical electrical engineer named Kamal El Masri. He thinks he's working on an advanced ground penetrating radar. He's perfect. She took a sip of her coffee, her eyes glinting with the thrill of the plan. Kamal has 1 day to figure out the power requirements. That same day you, Alistair, give your lecture. The next night, we move. I've rented the Red Pyramid at Dashur for a 4-hour private archaeoacoustic survey. 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. The machines will arrive at 9:15 sharp. It will be a swift in and out operation. 4 hours is all we get. Alistair stared at her, his face blank with shock. He finally managed to speak. I know I missed something important, but can someone please walk me through this again? I want to make sure I'm walking into something I can, theoretically, walk out of. Ben leaned forward, his voice calm and clear. It's simple, Alistair. Kaelin worked her magic to get the machines here. Kamal, the technician, will figure out how to power them. Your lecture provides a scientific cover story. And after your lecture, under the cover of your survey, we take the machines inside the pyramid. You and Inanna will be my ground control. I will be the operator. Mission complete. Alistair, however, looked unconvinced. His brow furrowed. One moment, Ben. A critical detail. In your vision of the Golden Age, you saw four machines being used. We only have the three from Baghdad. How can we possibly replicate the effect with a quarter of the hardware missing? Ben smiled. Because we aren't trying to replicate the same effect. The Sentinel told me the pyramid had two functions. The primary function was planetary stabilization. That's what required all four machines in the global grid. But the secondary function is individual consciousness alignment. We're not trying to reboot the planet, Alistair. We're just trying to make a phone call. The three machines we have, for the kings, queens, and subterranean chambers, are all we need to create a focused, localized field for one operator. The bold and audacious simplicity of it lingered, filling the air with a sense of uncertainty. The impossible plan was set into motion, yet doubts nagged at the edges of Ben's mind. Kaylin checked her tablet, her focus already shifting to the next phase. I need to confirm the transport logistics. Inanna, walk with me. She swept from the room, all business, with Inanna gathering her notes to follow, leaving Ben alone with his oldest friend. Alistair looked at Ben, his expression a mixture of awe and profound concern. Ben, my boy, you're talking about rewriting human history based on visions from a genetic ghost. You seem so certain. Ben's confident mask crumbled for a moment, revealing the exhausted man beneath. He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture Alistair remembered from countless late nights in the university lab. Certain? Ben let out a short, hollow laugh. Alistair, I'm terrified. For 30 years, I was genetic astrology Ben Carter, the crackpot my colleagues pitied. Now, I'm supposed to be the gatekeeper to a truth older than civilization? The Sentinel. It showed me that our ego, our desire, is what caused the fall. But my own desire for vindication, my ego, is what drove me to this point. What if I'm the wrong messenger? What if I get into that chamber and the very thing that got me here is what makes us fail? He looked at his mentor, his eyes pleading for an answer he knew Alistair couldn't provide. This isn't just science anymore. It's a leap of faith. And I am scared to death. I don't know how to jump. The tuning forks of the world. The limo pulled up to a nondescript industrial warehouse in the dusty outskirts of Giza. Inside, under a stark circle of bright workshop lights, sat the three alien machines. They rested on heavy steel tables. A man in a clean, gray lab coat approached them. He was sharp, focused, his eyes holding a brilliant curiosity. Kalen, he said with a nod, Cairo is treating me to the greatest puzzle of my career. Kamal, Kalen returned, meet my colleagues, Dr. Ben Carter, Dr. Inanna Ferris, and Dr. Alistair Finch. Kamal gave a quick professional nod to the team, but his attention was already back on the machines. He was like a surgeon looking at an unknown organ. With respect, skepticism, and an almost reverent curiosity. So, he muttered, snapping on a pair of nitrile gloves. Not gods or aliens, then. Just unknown technology. He gestured to a bank of monitors displaying complex readings. I've been running non-invasive scans since they arrived. The findings are unsettling. The casing is not stone. It's a resonant composite that seems to absorb and channel electromagnetic waves simultaneously. There is no internal power source, yet the core of each unit emits a faint, steady oscillation at exactly 7.83 Hertz. Earth's Schumann resonance, Alistair whispered, his eyes wide. Precisely, Kamal said. This isn't passive tech, it's active resonance architecture. He turned to a small signal generator wired to the smallest of the three units, the one destined for the subterranean chamber. Watch this. He turned a dial. A low frequency tone hummed from the generator. At first, nothing happened. Then the air in the warehouse shifted. A faint vibration traveled up from the concrete floor. The machine on the table began to glow, not with light, but with a change in pressure, as if reality itself was bending around it. Kamal checked his instruments. No voltage spike, no amperage draw, but the damn thing is resonating. It's drawing ambient energy from the environment. It's using the planet as its battery. He increased the frequency, feeding it a higher harmonic tone. The machine shuddered. A brief, violent flare of white light erupted from its center with a sharp crack. Everyone instinctively flinched back. Kamal immediately cut the power. The glow vanished. Silence returned. He pulled off his headphones, a bead of sweat on his brow. Okay, he muttered. That wasn't supposed to happen. He looked directly at Ben. These things aren't powered by electricity. They're powered by intentional alignment, and they respond to frequency, not just voltage. As Kamal examined the second unit, he discovered something else. The internal lattice. It's different. This one uses a hexagonal crystal matrix. The first one was tetrahedral. He looked at the team, his expression grim. This isn't plug and play. Each chamber in the pyramid must be activated with a different frequency. Each of these machines is a unique instrument. Ben nodded slowly. The settlers weren't building identical machines. They were building a choir. Exactly, Kamal said. And we're trying to conduct a symphony with only one rehearsal. He ran a final diagnostic, placing the three machines near each other. They immediately began to hum, interacting with each other, a feedback loop forming between them. He quickly separated them. Careful, he snapped. They're tuned to each other. If we trigger them out of order inside the pyramid, we could destabilize the whole system. The activation must be perfectly sequenced. He finally turned away from his instruments and faced them all, a look of profound, terrifying understanding on his face. Think of them like tuning forks, he said, his voice now a whisper. If you strike one, another across the room with the same resonant frequency will vibrate in sympathy. Now, imagine the entire planet is the second fork. He looked at Ben. All we need to do is strike the right note. Kamal cast a sideways glance at Kalen, his lips curving into a sly and slightly skeptical smile. Ground penetrating radars, huh? He remarks, his tone laced with a hint of disbelief and playful curiosity. Kalen flashes a warm smile at Kamal, her eyes conveying a silent thank you. Her expression is a blend of gratitude and camaraderie, a shared understanding passing between them. Without breaking her gaze, she addresses the group with a steady and confident voice. Team, we are done here.